Welcome back to the Some Loser podcast. This is episode 2, and on today's episode, we are talking about slice of life, the genre, and more specifically, we're talking about slice of life in American media, which I'm just going to sum it up, is non-existent for the most part. Now, I guess before I start talking and going over slice of life and stuff, I should probably say what it is. I was gonna read the Wikipedia article, but honestly, I feel like TV Tropes gives a much better example and a definition. So, life observed and examined. A cast of characters go about their daily lives making observations and being themselves. School is perhaps the most common setting for these kind of series, especially in animation. Coming of age is often a part of your stories. What separates slice of life as a genre from the literal meaning of the phrase, which would encompass nearly all fiction, is the emphasis on the very moment, with the intent of focusing the audience on that moment rather than using that moment as part of a narrative. For example, a story about hilarious roommate hijinks may depict the Monday life of roommates, but these Monday events are usually the setups and punchlines of jokes or part of the conflict between the characters, which takes away their slice of lifeness and cements them firmly in the realm of comedy or drama. Another thing about slice of life is they don't have a plot usually, or if they do, it's very thin. It's just to set up how all the characters meet each other. Okay, so one is a manga I've been looking forward to get adapted for a very long time, which is now getting an animated season called Yuru Camp, or Laid Back Camp. And it's about these two girls, Rin and Nadashiko, or however you want to pronounce her name, and they are both really into camping. Nadashiko she moves to a new town. I forget the town they live in, but they live next to Mount Fuji, and she wanted to see it. So she bikes all the way there and gets tired and forgets her phone at home and doesn't know her home address. So she's kind of stuck there, and she runs into this girl named Rin, who biked up there to go solo camping because she's a camp nut. And they meet, they hang out, and eventually Nadeshiko, fuck, I need to say his name right. She remembers her phone number, or her sister's phone number, and her sister comes and picks her up. And so when she enrolls in high school, she joins the outdoor activities club, which there's actually two. There's the very active one, and then there's the laid back one. And then mostly the manga / show, it's just about these girls just going camping. They talk about camping, and I'll get into that later. But what separates slice of life from other genres is you could call slice of life a show about nothing, and that's pretty much what it is, because the whole point of slice of life is to escape realism and just get comfy. It's literally, I just tell people, I'm like, if you want to watch a slice of life show, prepare to get comfy, because that's all what it is about. You're supposed to just forget about the world and get comfy. Now, I guess the closest thing that American media has to slice of life is sitcoms, which sitcoms aren't really slice of life, because usually there's an overarching story and character development, which character development does happen in slice of life, and some slice of life shows do have character, most slice of life shows have character development of some kind, but they do have some kind of, they don't really have a story, they just have events going on. Okay, so I pulled up a couple examples. So the first one I pulled up is Scrubs, which was American medical comedy drama television show. It was on NBC and then ABC, but where I watched it was Comedy Central. And the first thing about it is, while it is a show about all these people working in a hospital. It's a dramedy at its core. So there's the story and there's romance and there's all these things going on with all the characters and stuff, and it has this overarching story that went on for 9 seasons. So, well, you could say if it was just a show about people working in a hospital or students studying to be doctors at a hospital and just goofing off and chilling and learning stuff, I'd say that's a slice of life. But when you start adding story and stuff and drama, you take away from that because the comfiness and the nothingness of it kind of becomes a backbone. I've been working on this for like a week now, how to explain this concept, and I thought I had it, and I start recording. I'm like, fuck, this is actually harder because slice of life is hard to explain because it's a show about nothing. When it's often described as cute girls doing cute things, or a show about nothing, or a show where nothing happens, or it's just a show about being comfy, because the majority of slice of life shows, which is a big genre in Japan, is not a lot of things happen, which, going back to Eurocamp, it's a show about camping, which, in recent years, a niche, or, a subgenre of slice of life is shows where specific things happen, specifically where people are very into a hobby or a club. So in Eurocamp, they're very into camping, and they want to go camping, and the mangaka is a humongous camp nut. So in the manga, he puts a bunch of camping advice and tips and stuff, and all the places he goes are actual places. So he draws them in there, but he like changes the names and the looks up a bit. So, I mean, I don't know if he'd get sued for it, because I feel like most of the places he puts in there are just campsites or just mom and pop shops. So I don't think they'd even mind. But I guess for a non-anonymity, or for them to not be put on blast, he just kind of changes the names. But whatever. And then you have another one called Barakamon, which is a show about Seishu Honda, who is an up-and-coming calligrapher, and when he's at an award show for himself, because he won an award, a veteran calligrapher calls his piece original, and Honda loses his cool and decks the old man. And so, as punishment, his father exiles him to an island, which has a small village on it. And the show is mostly about Honda-kun trying to do his calligraphy, but all the people on the island, specifically the kids, all start messing with him. Why was I saying mesh? But they're messing with him, and he learns to kind of open up and become less serious and learn to love the present and to have more fun with his life. And the fun reflects in his calligraphy, and it's regarded as a very it's a well-held slice of life and just comedy and anime in general. It's very good. And if there was a lot of drama going on, and like his father called and said like in episode 3 something saying, "You may never do calligraphy again," and then the next 6 episodes are him trying to be like, "How will I ever recover from this?" Like, the thing about slice of life is most of them at their core are just slice of lives and comedies. Because if it wasn't funny, then I think a slice of life and comedy go hand in hand. It's almost a requirement that it has to be comedic. Or it can just be an observation piece, but most of them are comedic. And when you start adding drama or action or adventure, then you kind of take away the slice of life part from it. And so going back to more American examples, another sitcom is The Big Bang Theory, which is about a bunch of geeks living in the same apartment complex and just being friends. And while at the time, and while when I say that, it sounds like that could be a slice of life, and it very well could. But at the same time, there's a lot of drama and there's overarching stories and plots going on, and it takes away from the comfiness and just the slice of life and the natural part of it. Slice of lives are supposed to feel natural. You're supposed to feel like this is a thing that could happen, and these are real people, and they could be in real events and stuff. Another good example, which I didn't pull up, but I just remember, is Yuri, which is about all these girls in middle school just having fun, hanging out in their club, and just talking and doing stuff like going to the convenience store to get ice cream, or hanging out at their apartment and playing video games. Which, now, as a person, you might say, why would I want to watch that? Which, if that's not your thing, it's not your thing, which I wouldn't recommend any shows, because the whole point of Slice of Life is to escape reality and just watch these people just live their lives, and it's just comfy and it's nice. You don't need to worry about your problems going on, and usually they're not very dramatic, and there's not any high risks, and if something dangerous does happen, it's usually played off as a joke or something, like getting chased by a dog who got off its leash. But when the dog catches up, it's not even really dangerous, or didn't even want to harm you, just wanted to play with you, or wanted to steal the food you had in your pocket or whatever. Like, Slice of Life is just supposed to be comfy and cute girls doing cute things, and a show where nothing really happens, which I guess is the ideal life. It's a life without like problems, or when you're stressed out or having a problem, your friends come together and help you feel better. I guess that's the ideal life. And honestly, I don't have a very stressful life. I think most of my stress comes from me overstressing myself out, and then I'll talk to people and they'll help me get over that, and then I'm like, my stress goes away. So I think my life is kind of close to a slice of life. I mean, I don't know who would want to watch a kid going to community college to get his music production degree. I mean, if there were just 3 or 4 other people trying to also do that, or it's just a bunch of kids hanging out in community college or whatever, and just college in general, getting degrees, then that would be a slice of life. Now, if those kids started falling in love, and then love triangles start happening, and then one of them gets in an accident, and then one of them's about to drop out because they're getting very low grades, and it's not played up as a joke, it's played up as a serious threat, or they don't have enough money to pay for next semester, well, then it's not very much a slice of life, because you're incorporating real problems into there, real things. And well, slice of lives are supposed to be like natural things happening. These are things that can really happen. At the same time, you don't want real world problems to infiltrate your slice of life. I guess at most you'll want to have like unrequited love, or just dense motherfuckers being like, oh, I didn't realize people like me, I'm just gonna be dense. Which is a thing about a lot of Japanese rom-coms too, is the dense protagonist who doesn't understand that the main girl or some of the girls like him, or guys, or maybe it's a girl who doesn't understand that the guys like her. Flip it upside on its head. But now you're thinking, okay, so a show or book or comic about people just going about their lives, going to the grocery store, doing their laundry, hanging out, having a couple of beers, sounds comfy. Why isn't that a thing here? And I would have to say the first reason why it's not big here is it's a cultural difference. In America, we have Hollywood. We have all these high budgets, billion-dollar movies. They're supposed to have the coolest effects, have huge action stars, drama, romance, comedy, the works. to make a blockbuster, you kind of have to have a little bit of everything. People want action. They want to watch mind-numbing like violence and drama and romance to make themselves forget about where they are. And then you go to Japan and they kind of have the opposite. I mean, it's not to say that Japan doesn't have the same things over there. It's just, I think it's a difference of where people here would rather watch like an action movie where a spy is trying to save the girl and stop the world from being destroyed. While in Japan, maybe they'd rather watch a bunch of people trying to join like the chorus club or something, or I don't know. It's just it's a cultural difference. Japanese people are different from American people. Japan's different from America. Cultural differences. I met a lot of people where I've tried to show them slice of life and they are just like, I don't care. Why am I watching this? Is something going to happen? And I'm like, nope, this is it. It's just people hanging out, just doing normal stuff, going to class. A show I'm watching right now, which is quickly became my favorite show of all time, my favorite anime, which I thought was pretty hard to catch up to, but it is Hidamari Sketch, which is about 4 girls living in the Hidamari apartments right across from their art school. And they go to class, they hang out in their apartments, they make food, they go to the grocery store, they go to karaoke, they go to the bathhouse. It's very comfy, and problems will arise Sai is an author, and so when she gets close to the deadline, she'll procrastinate, and she'll get like overwhelmed, but then her friends help her kind of like calm down, and then she gets an idea, and then she'll like write it and then turn it in. And the problems in the show aren't dire. I mean, there's problems, but it's not like life-threatening. Like, this will change the status quo forever. It's just like it's a minor inconvenience at the moment. And it's hard to really have a show where nothing bad ever happens or there's no minor inconveniences. But I don't want to watch a show where a character is going to have a life-altering decision to make. That's stressful as fuck. I'm an American. My life's already pretty fucking stressful. Or I'm the average person. My life is pretty stressful. I don't know why people here always want to watch action shows or dramas and thrillers where everything's fucking stressful. My life's already pretty fucking stressful. I don't want to add the stress of other people's lives onto my own life. I want to just wind down and watch some people with not too stressful lives go about their non-stressful lives. Oh, they had a minor problem here. Well, it's taken care of. Like, I don't want to watch people dealing with their stressful lives. I don't watch a guy fucking with cancer trying to become a meth dealer. I don't want to fucking watch that. I don't watch him have to dodge his family and from the fucking cops and shit so people don't find out he's a goddamn meth dealer. I don't want to watch that. That sounds stressful as fuck. Now, do I never read anything that isn't stressful? No, I fucking watch I watch a bunch of stuff. Like BoJack is an extremely stressful show. I like it, but F is for Family, extremely stressful. I read superhero comics, and being a superhero is a stressful life. So I'm not saying that I don't watch anything stressful or like that. I'm just saying that if you were gonna hand me a thriller drama series and then the other series is like a comedy slice of life, I'm going to go pick the comedy slice of life fucking immediately. So let's talk about the one. Well, I would say there's 2 American slice of life franchises, which, so the first one is Seinfeld, which people describe as a show about nothing, which is exactly what slice of life is. But I don't give a fuck about Seinfeld, so we're skipping over Seinfeld. The one I wanted to talk about is the movie franchise Clerks by Kevin Smith. Now, there are 2 Clerks movies. There's supposed to be a third, but it's dead in the water. So Clerks, at a core, well, Clerks 1 is about Randall and Dante. Dante is like a guy in his 20s or 30s who never finished college or never went to college, and now he works at the local bodega or like convenience store with his girlfriend that is crazy about him, but he's not the craziest about. And then his best friend Randall works right next door at the Hollywood Video knockoff. And then they have the 2 drug dealers slash lowlifes, Silent Bob and I think it's Violent J and Silent Bob. I think that's what it is, or it's just J. Fuck, what is it? It's it's just J and Silent Bob. Why did I say Violent J? Anyways, and most of the movie is just about Dante. The movie starts out with Dante sleeping, and then he gets a phone call, wakes him up, and he's like, "What in it?" And his boss is like, "I'm going out of town. I need you to work today." And he's like, "But I'm not even supposed to be at work today. Today's my day off." And he's like, "Well, tough shit. You got to come in," which that's a problem a lot of people have, where it's like, I'm not supposed to be working today, and your boss is like, "You got to come in anyway." It's not a major problem, but it's not like the end of the fucking world. And for the most part, the movie is just about things happening at the convenience store or the little strip mall they're on. And I guess there's a plot about this high school sweetheart of Dante's is coming back in town and might have a thing for him, and he's trying to get with her, which honestly, it's not a major problem either. It's pretty minor. And I would say Clerks is the closest thing to an American slice of life. And the only person who seems to be making these slice of life movies is Kevin Smith. And he also made another movie called Mallrats, which is set in the same universe because Jay and Silent Bob are also in Mallrats, and they hang around the fucking mall and shit. And they even had their own spin-off movie, which was okay, but it was your generic comedy action movie, fucking whatever. But Clerks and Mallrats are 2 very good cult classic movies, which I could describe both as slice of lives. Clerks more so than Mallrats, because Mallrats kind of has a plot and stuff. And Clerks, while it has some kind of plot, it for the most part doesn't. It's just about Dante and Randall working at 2 stores and just interacting with the customers, and Jane and Silent Bob and Dante's girlfriend Veronica. And it's just comfy. I've watched 20 times. It's very comfy. I'll show it to people, and their first complaint is, "Why is it in black and white?" And I'm like, it was a fucking... I don't remember if it was a stylistic choice or just because Kevin Smith couldn't afford color, but whatever. I don't mind. I think it kind of adds to it, because when I watch Clerks 2 and they added color, I'm like, I mean, it's okay, but I kind of wish it was in black and white. But, and then it's just comfy. I'll show people and they're like, "Okay, so when's the plot gonna happen?" I'm like, "It is happening." They're like, "What's the plot?" I'm like, "It's Dante working at the Quick Stop." And they're like, "This is boring." I'm like, "That's slice of life. That's exactly what slice of life is. I don't know what else to tell you. If you don't like this, you're not gonna like any slice of life, because this is all it is." And I don't think I really had... I think I maybe had 1 or 2 friends who have actually been able to finish Clerks. But yeah, so Clerks is really the only American example of a slice of life I can really pick out. It's just, I guess it's not a thing here. I guess for the most part, when people want to watch something where they can just forget about their lives and just like sit down and just watch something, just forget all their stress and problems, they want to choose stressful, dramatic movies and TV shows, I guess. I don't know why. If I had a fucking, like, if I was very stressed out, I would probably choose to watch something where I'm watching people who aren't also stressed out, or something that's going to be like these people's lives or the world is in dire, like, peril. Like, I don't want to watch that. It's just going to make me more stressed out. Like, I want to watch a show about people who aren't going through the same problems I am, or much bigger problems than I am. So, and Clerks 2 was made since Clerks 1 was such a success, and then Jay and Silent Bob's Big Adventure, or whatever the fuck it was called, was also made. And then after that, Kevin Smith kind of left that universe. Well, he made Mallrats, and then he made Chasing Amy, which is also in the same universe. And then after that, he kind of left that universe to do other things. And he's tried to make Clerks 3, but the guy playing Randall, he left. He said he's not down to do Clerks 3, which there's like 4 main characters in Clerks, so it's like without one of the 4 main characters, Clerks 3 is kind of dead in the water. And he tried pitching he wanted to make Mallrats 2, but then he said a TV show would be better, and he pitched it to 6 different networks, and none of them wanted anything to do with it. So Mallrats, the TV show, or Mallrats 2 is also dead in the water. So it seems like people here, and there hasn't really been any imitators, or at least that I can tell, of Clerks. Like, you watch The Hunger Games, which was a blatant ripoff of Battle Royale, and it's because Hunger Games is so big and popular and so much bigger than Battle Royale, that the guy who made Battle Royale said, I can't make a Battle Royale free because I don't want to be called one of those copycats like everybody fucking else for years after Hunger Games came out, because that movie spawned so many other movies that were the same exact fucking thing. But there's been no like copycats or spawns of Clerks or Mallrats. It just seems that people, and even like art house, like indie films, I thought at least there, people would want to make a slice of life movie, and they don't. People don't want it. They want to make their art house, metaphorical, philosophical, deep, nihilistic movies about puberty and coming of age, which coming of age is also a thing in slice of life, but people don't want to make slice of life. They want to make their indie dramas, their action movies, their horrors, their drug thrillers, their fucking whatevers. That's just what we have here. And so I don't want to watch that. That's fucking stressful as fuck. And for the most part, I'm not down to see that, which I'm not even that big of a movie person. So whenever I try to go see a movie weekly, I'm like, what's out? And none of the movies sound appealing to me. So I gotta choose the most kind of appealing movie to watch. And I'm just not about it. But then Japan's like, well, we love slice of life. So here's like 10 slice of life series a season. So like every 3 or 4 months, I get like 10 new series I know I'm either gonna like to love, which I have a bunch this season that I'm really enjoying, and most of them are slice of life. So let's just now we kind of talked about how America doesn't really give a fuck about slice of life, which for whatever reason, it could be because they just I don't know, okay? You know, I'd say it's mostly cultural differences. I mean, my other friend Quack had a pretty good explanation for why people weren't into slice of life here, which his actually sounds pretty reasonable, but at the same time, there's still some holes in it. Which he also said it was mostly due to cultural differences, and people here want to watch action and dramas when they are don't want to think about their lives and they just want to relax and let their minds kind of just zone out, which I get that. I get it, but why would you choose to watch something stressful or dramatic or action-packed then? I mean, at times, I'm like, yeah, okay, it's Wednesday. This is when all comics come out. I want to read some Superman. Which, okay, speaking of Superman, in the current DC Rebirth run, in between all the, not in between every arc, but every couple arcs, there'll be a chapter or two of Superman where it's just a slice of life. It's, Clark, Lois, and their son John going to the state fair, or 2 or 3 chapters of them going on a road trip. I meant they could just fly all around the world and visit there, but they're like, nope, we're gonna rent an RV and we're gonna drive around the United States. And the most recent chapter of Superman was Superman visits a children's hospital and takes all these children to the Justice League Watchtower, and they go on a scavenger hunt and they go on the moon. And there's just no conflict. There's none of the kids are dying. It's just comfy and it just warms your heart. And that's another thing about slice of life is it warms your heart. And it's just, it's so fucking great. Like, I don't know. I just don't get why people aren't into slice of life. I don't fucking get it. Why? Why aren't you into it? Why don't you just want to sit down and watch something fun, something just nice? Why don't you just want to just mellow out and watch these fucking girls start a goddamn high school rock band because they all like to listen to music and playing an instrument sounds pretty fucking cool. So I guess I'm going to recommend some slice of life anime and manga, since I can't really talk about any American series or movies or fucking whatever. So, I pulled up some shows I already really dig, and then I pulled up some shows on Mao. So, the first show is Nichijou, or My Ordinary Life as it's translated in English. And it's a comedy slice of life series about just these kids going to high school. And the thing that makes Nichijou stand out is Keiichi Arari has a very surreal humor about Nichijou, and his newest manga, City, also kind of has the same thing going on. And so you could just call it the basic plot is it follows the everyday lives of various people in the town, mostly people in the high school. And you're like, okay, that sounds cool. But where Nichijou gets you is like, okay, we'll follow all lives of people where one of the girl is an aspiring yaoi, mangaka. Another one is just a fucking idiot. The principal has some kind of rivalry with a school deer. There's a girl there named Nano who is actually a robot, and her scientist mother is actually a 7-year-old, and they have a talking cat. It's just this outlandish show, but at the same time, while it's so outlandish and surreal, it has time to slow down and just be a comfy show. While all this outlandish shit is going on, they can still just play hopscotch, or they can play the letter game or whatever. It's still got time to just be really comfy and just fun. So another show which used to be my favorite slice of life show, which I think it's actually kind of contested with 2 other shows right now, is Non-Non-Biyori, which the anime, which is made by Silverlink, is fucking amazing. There's 2 seasons, there's an OVA, and they have a movie coming out soon, which is going to be coming out towards the end of this year, 2018, for all you future listeners. And it's about these 4 girls living in the countryside, and that's it. They go to school where Renge, the youngest of all of them, her older sister is the teacher there, and the only students in their school are them and these 2 girls, Natsumi and Komari, their older brother, who doesn't have much of a personality, doesn't even ever talk in the show. He's just kind of there for like sight gags. And those 5 are the only real students in the school. And then the other people in the show is Renge has another older sister who's going to high school in Tokyo. And then, of course, Hotaru has her mom and her dog and her dad. And then Natsumi and Komori also have her brother and their mom. And then there's a girl who works at the candy store, who's known as Candy Store, who used to babysit Renge. And she's friends with her older sister, who's the teacher. And Silverlink just did an amazing job with it. They had beautiful backgrounds. The music was great. It's very comfy. It just warms your heart up. Like, I probably cry a little whenever I watch it, just because I'm just like, I can't believe something this comfy and beautiful can exist. And I'm so lucky to live in a time where I'm able to watch this. So another show, which is pretty recent, is called Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, which I actually talked about this in the last episode when I was talking about KyoAni Studios. So Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, or Kobayashi-san Chi no Meo Dragon, is a manga series that was written and illustrated by Kokyo Shinja, which got an anime adaptation by KyoAni last year in the I think it was fall 2017. I think that's the first season of the year's called, and it was a return to form by KyoAni. Well, it did have a bit of ecchi here and there, a bit of fan service. For the most part, it was very pure. It was extremely slice of life, very comfy, comedy centered. And even though it's about this fantasy dragon, this like world-ending dragon who falls in love with this plain office worker and decides to be her live-in maid for her apartment, and eventually wants to become her lover. It's just a very good series, and it's just very comfy. And it's about these dragons coming to live in the human world and having to adapt to the human lifestyle and learning those things. And their opinions change based on this world. And they're like, maybe humanity isn't as bad as we thought it was thousands of years ago and stuff. And it had a spin-off series about the lulling the show Kana, who is actually also thousands of years old, but she's the youngest of all the dragons, so she's like mentally a child. So when she takes a human form, she's like an elementary schooler, and she goes to elementary school and stuff. And she's become a bit of a fan favorite. She's not my favorite. My favorite, okay, to be fair, I like Kobayashi the best, the office worker. She just, I mean, she's not the most eccentric character. She's not the cutest character, but she's just very relatable. She's a programmer, an office worker, and she just has 2 dragons living with her. And then her best friends now, who always come over, are dragons and stuff. She hangs out with like another guy from the office. And just whenever this stuff happens, she doesn't get particularly freaked out. She just like takes in a deep breath and she's like, okay, this is my life now. Which honestly, is very relatable. I mean, you think, oh, I have dragons living with me. I'd be like, oh no, how is this happening to me? Which, for the most part of my life, everything I kind of do is just like, okay, I guess this is my life now. Like, I'll be signing for classes, and I'll get like accidentally at the wrong time. I'm like, okay, this is my life now. Or people are like, okay, well, you're supposed to be doing this, but now you're doing this. I'm like, okay. Like, I just tend to go with the flow, and that's kind of Kobayashi's like lifestyle too. She just chooses to go with the flow. Like, she's like, I'm in my, I think she's in her like 30s or something. She's an office worker, and she's like, I don't really have time to get exasperated and freaked out and worried about all this shit. So I'm just gonna go with the flow and just see where life takes me, which is very relatable. So she ended up being my favorite character. So another couple shows I want to talk about is probably one of the biggest slice of lives is another staple from KyoAni, who used to be the queens of slice of life, because most people who work at KyoAni are women. So it was like, everyone's like, okay, it makes sense that a lot of shows are about cute girls doing cute things, and the reason it feels so realistic are, instead of having a bunch of men write and animate it, it's women. So it feels very soft and cute and fun and subtle, and it just feels like these are actual girls doing actual things high school girls would be doing. And K-On! Is about this girl, Yui, who enters high school, and she wants to join a club, but she doesn't really know what to do, and she's kind of carefree and is like, I don't really have any motivations, but she sees something called the Light Music Club, and she goes to check them out, and it's these three girls: Ritsu, the drummer; Mio, the bassist slash singer at the time; and then Samugi, the keyboardist. And they play music for her, and she's entranced, and she's like, I'm signing up right now. And they're like, really? And she's like, yeah. And they're like, okay, what do you play? And she's like, I don't play music. And they're like, what? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, oh, that's a problem. I probably should play music. So she learns to play guitar, and she becomes like, her and Mio kind of share vocals. Like, the OP Fua Fua Time is sung by Yui, but another standout show, which I loved playing guitar and bass, Don't Say Lazy, is sung by Mio. So they kind of have two vocalists, but I would say Yui is the lead vocalist in the show, and the show feels very natural. She doesn't just pick up the guitar and she's like a prodigy. She sucks. And even by the end of the show and manga, she's still kind of bad at guitar. She just can do basic like chords and like tiny solos. And then of course you have Mio, Ritsu, and Samugi, who are very good at their instruments because they've been playing for years, unlike Yui, who kind of just picked it up, and now she's like, well, it takes a lot of effort to sing and play guitar, so I'm not as good as I probably could be if I was just focusing on just one of them. And K-On! Is a staple in many opinions and many people's opinions about how a slice of life should be. And not K-On! I'm slipping up my words. KyoAni kind of set the bar for slice of lives and just cute, comfy comedies, and they were kind of the forefront for moe anime, and they really ushered it in with shows like Clannad, Chunabu, Haruhi Suzumiya, K-On!, Lucky Star, Nichijou, which I mentioned earlier, and Kobayashi-san, which I also mentioned just before this. Tamako Market, which I mentioned a lot of these in the first episode. I talked quite a bit about KyoAni, but they really have some big name shows in the slice of life genre and moe anime, and K-On! Is probably one of the biggest. Another one that is a slice of life, which kind of has a story to it, but I would say it's still mostly a slice of life, is Watamote, which I'm not going to pronounce the Japanese name, but the English name is, no matter how I look at it, it's you guys' fault I'm unpopular, or it's not my fault that I'm not popular, and it's basically about this girl, fucking Kuroki Tomoko, who is in high school. I think she's either starting or she's halfway through high school, and she's like, my middle school years were very cringy and uneventful, and my high school years are going to be very cringy and uneventful too if I don't change my ways, but I become such a NEET and Fujo that I can barely function in normal society with all the normies, which she's a very relatable character in Japan, because Japan has a very big NEET problem, and that's kind of why slice of lives are pretty dominant in Japan, because they're trying to instill that having relations and being friends, and like if you weren't a NEET and you actually participated in high school, or you got invested in a hobby that wasn't anime and video games, this might be what your life is like. Sort of like Cool Kyoshinja. He also did another manga called I Can't Understand What My Husband's Saying, which was his first anime adaptation, which was a short series about this husband and wife who are two polar opposites, except the husband is a NEET, and people kind of caught on quickly that it's just a huge advertisement for procreation, since Japan has a NEET problem and they also have very low birth rates, but it was very comfy, and it's also about a NEET husband who's married to his normie wife, and even though they're super different people, they still come together. And so the Watamote anime is mostly about Tomoko trying to be a normal high school student, but because of her like social anxieties and her personality and how much of a NEET / Fujo she is, she has a hard time like interacting with normal people. And surprisingly, Watamote did not, or at least the anime didn't do very well in Japan, but the manga is doing pretty well there. It was a huge hit over here, which is surprising because it's not very relatable over here. I mean, there are awkward people, but not really on, well, if you're talking to people on R9K, then I guess they could, for a time, I think Tomoko was the queen of R9K, and she still might be, but Watamote has kind of died in popularity, and seems like the manga is also starting to die off too, and it should be ending soon. But the thing about the manga is she's progressed a lot, where she actually does have friends now, even though she doesn't really see it, and she's starting to become a normal person. I mean, she's not like Stacy and Chad levels of normie, but I'd say she has a normal high school life. She goes on school trips. She hangs out with people. People want to be around her, even if she is a fucking weirdo and a Fujo. People just seem to be attracted to her because I guess she attracts other people who are very, who don't fit conventional norms. And they all just found a circle of friends that revolves around Tomoko that can all confide in each other and have a normal high school life. And I thought that Watamote was very endearing and was trying to... God, I fucking lost what I was summing up there, but yeah, I thought Watamote was also a pretty good slice of life series. I mean, if you're not into cringe humor, then I would suggest avoiding it, because Watamote, especially the anime, the manga starts off very cringy, but dwindles, but especially the anime is very cringy. it's extremely cringy. Another anime which I really liked, that's a slice of life, is New Game, which had a season 2 last year. But New Game is about Aoba Suzakaze, who just graduated from high school, and she's always loved the Fairy Stories game series, which was made by the video game company Eagle Jump, and she gets an internship working for Eagle Jump, and eventually gets a job there, and she's working on the new Fairy Story game, and it's just a slice of life about these girls working at this all-woman game company, making this new game, which I think is supposed to be like either Dragon Quest or a Final Fantasy parody or whatever. But yeah, New Game was very comfy, especially season 2. Season 2 was a major improvement over season 1, which I thought season 1 was pretty good on its own, but season 2 was very comfy. And it was just really good. All the characters were vibrant. Watching them make this game, which they're not making like Halo or Destiny or this billion-dollar video game that's supposed to be the greatest game of all time for decades and decades and decades and decades. They're just making a regular fantasy adventure game, and that's all it is. And it's very niche. The characters are very endearing but fun to watch. The music is great, especially the ED and OP, especially in season 2. New Game season 2 has a very good OP, and the first ED is probably one of my favorite EDs ever, which I just realized now I've been saying OP and ED a lot, and if you don't know what an OP and ED is, it's opening and ending song, which I guess over here you would call it a theme song, but in Japan it's called an OP and ED. Which I sometimes, if I want to listen to like an American theme song, I will sometimes catch myself typing in like American cartoon, like Venture Brothers OP. I'm like, wait a minute, no, it's theme song. I'm talking about American shows here. But New Game is pretty good. If you like video games and you like cute girls doing cute stuff and just slice of life in general, then I would definitely check out New Game. They add a bit of drama in season 2, which I wasn't a big fan of, but it wasn't really like major drama. It's just like characters not really liking each other, but eventually it all gets worked out. Another show, Silverlink, is also a studio besides Kyo Annie and Doggo Cuba, which or Daga Kubo. Fucking hold on a second. Yeah, Daga Kubo or Kobo. Who actually, let's just talk about Silverlink and Daga Kobo at the moment. So I guess I'll start with Silverlink. They have done a lot of slice of life series. They did Watamote, which I talked about. They did Non Biori, which I talked about. The one I'm going to talk about next is Tanaka-kun, which is about this high school student named Tanaka, who is very listless, and his hobby is just sleeping. He's very inattentive. He's able to really fall asleep anywhere. He just has the ability to make anywhere comfy. And all he really wants to do is just get through his high school life, and he wants to be uneventful and just have a comfy life where he can sleep. And you think like a show just about a guy sleeping all the time would be pretty boring, but it actually is probably one of my favorite slice of life series and anime series of all time. The characters are great, the backgrounds are great, the animation is great. It has a very catchy ED, and the OP is one of my favorites of all time. And it's very sweet, it's very heartwarming. I love Tanaka-kun. So I would definitely recommend that too. See, more Silverlink shows. I talked about Non Biori. What else have they made? They make a lot of like non-slice of lives too, mostly action and ecchi. Oh yeah, another show they're working on this season is Mitsuboshi Colors, which I talked about last episode. So if you saw last episode, then I also recommended it, and I also recommended Yuru Camp, which is another show they're working on. I mean, it's mostly C Station working on Yuru Camp, but Silverlink is like helping doing backgrounds or something. Daga Kubo, they do a lot of moe slice of lives. I would say they're like the new Kyo Annie when it comes to that. Except they never really like lost their way like Kyo Annie did. I'm just gonna list a bunch of them that I recommend because it's getting the episode's getting pretty lengthy, and I think I should probably cut it off soon. So here's a bunch of really good slice of life from Daga Kobo, which I recommend, which usually if they do a slice of life, it's going to be good. Gekken Shoujo Nozaki-kun, Yuru Yuri, New Game, Engaged to the Unidentified. Gabriel Dropout wasn't the best, but it's pretty comfy. GJ Boo, that's G, J, and then Boo. Love Lab. Sancha Sanyu. I think they also did. No? I thought they did Yuyushiki. Man Girl is also a pretty good slice of life, but even though I guess Daga Kubo didn't do Kobo, someone's gonna tell me I've been pronouncing their name fucking wrong, and I always pronounce Daga Kobo wrong. But they didn't do Yuyushiki, but that's another show I would highly recommend. Blendes. Blendes is from last season, which is about a girl named Micah, and she has trouble finding a part-time job because she has just a naturally scary like look to herself. Not like she's a scary looking girl, just her eyes are just in a way that she just always looks like she's glaring and grimacing at people. And the way she talks, she also sounds like she's very sadistic towards people. So, and it was a pretty cute romance slice of life about this girl who gets a job at a maid cafe, which is centered around people with distinct personalities, like Micah was a sadistic girl. God, what's your name? Fuck, I gotta pull it up because I forgot their fucking names. Kaho was the tsundere. Mafuyu was the little sister. Hidori was I forgot exactly what her character was. She was the idol. And Miyu was like the big sister / mom type character. And that show was pretty comfy. It was pretty well received. I hope it gets a season 2. But I guess to kind of wrap up this episode, so yeah, as you can tell, slice of life is a very dominant market in Japan, and even action shows and dramas usually have some slice of life episodes or elements to the show. It's just Japan, just like it's just a thing there. They like to have comfy shows, even if the show is dramatic and action packed. There's still times they want to slow down and just have a comfy episode. And then there's just some shows that are just entirely devoted to being that comfy, and that's just something that doesn't really come across in America. There's not a lot of there's not really any shows or movies who do that. I mean, I guess sitcoms are the closest we'll ever get, but even then, sitcoms are very fast paced and frantic and just unrealistic. It just doesn't happen. So I guess if you're like me and you're tired of watching just dramatic and suspenseful and thrillers all the time, and you just want something, you sit down, get some coffee or tea, get a blanket, and just get cozy and just warm your heart up and turn off your brain. Go watch some slice of life anime. Like, you can check Mao or wherever you want to look and get recommendations. There's a show for everyone. Slice of life is a very niche genre that appeals to really everybody. But I listed a lot of my recommendations. I'll probably talk about this in another episode, but Kimono Friends is a very great show, which was a lot of people's anime of the year for 2017, and is still a very talked about show even a year later. But I would also check out Kimono Friends. So I'd say that that's it for this episode of the Some Loser podcast. I'm Claire Stanfield, and this has been a very comfy discussion.